Hello, in this video we're going to look at uploading a data set into Tableau Public, and we'll look around the Tableau Public main window and finally start thinking about how to develop a data visualization. In this window there's a link Open Data, which brings up a number of options which are discussed in more detail in the blog post. For now I'm just going to do the simplest way of getting data in, which is just to pick up a Excel file in this case and drag and drop it into the Tableau window. Anywhere will do. Let go. After a moment it'll confirm it's sample data set 1, and those are two worksheet names we gave. You remember we want to use prepared data. So what I'm going to do is pick up prepared data and drop it into this area. At the moment we've only got one data set in here. Later on we'll probably have more than one, and this is where you link them together. Down here we can see a view into our data, so it's notes that I can't. As a reminder, between 1940 and 42 no data was collected about fat consumption, though fat was obviously consumed, so it's a null value rather than a zero value. Right, next thing we do is just click on here to go to the worksheet. This is Tableau Public's main window. There's a big area here called Canvas where you're going to create visualizations, and later on we'll add things like captions. There's some areas over here called shelves. There's another set of shelves here. And there's a couple of areas called dimensions and measures, which we're going to talk about a little bit in a moment. We'll notice up here in the data area we have our prepared data. So sample data set 1 is the Excel file, and prepared data is the workbook we're using. If you click on view data here, again it'll open up a new view into your data, so you know it's the right data. Okay. This can be quite important because you're often going to end up with several data sets open here, and it's important you can remind yourself of which one's which. Right, okay. Now if we look down here, we've got two areas. We've got dimensions. Dimensions are ways of categorizing data. So for example, gender could be male or female. In this case, our year is broken down into a number of containers of data, if you will, from 1940 to 2000. Measures are, generally speaking, things that contain numerical information. So energy in kilocalories and fat consumption in some unit or other. Like I mentioned earlier on, the fact that there was a problem with the column heading for fat consumption in Excel because of course it's missing its unit. Now there's a number of ways we can do this. We can change this in Tableau Public, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But in this case, since we have access to the original Excel spreadsheet, the best way is probably just to change it in Excel and refresh the changes in Tableau. So we do that like this. Okay, so we just open up Excel, and there's fat consumption, which we now want to modify to add units, grams, and save that, and confirm it and save it. Do you want to save it? Yes we do. To refresh our data, all we do is click on the particular data we're using and right click to get the menu and click on refresh. Do we want to refresh it? Yes we do. And after a moment we should see fat consumption has now got grams as its units, which is what we're after. So both of our numeric units, numeric piece of information have units. Right, so how do we create a visualization? As mentioned, Tableau has a number of areas called shelves. Now what we're going to do is drop some data on these shelves. So I'm going to pick up year, and we'll notice it's got a green rounded oblong around it. That's what we call a pill. So I've taken up the pill for year and dropped it into columns. And it just creates a series of markers indicating we've got containers for data for each of these years. I'm now going to pick up, and we'll do fat consumption, I think. We take this and we drag it to the rows shelf, drop it in there, and we see straight away we've created a line graph for fat consumption between those years. If you notice down here, it's got the nulls identified. I'm just going to hide that indicator. I'll talk a little bit more about dimensions and measures in a subsequent video. It is possible in Tableau Public to change around so you can convert measures to dimensions and vice versa. But now I want to say something quite important about presentations in general, and I can't say this too often. Make sure your audience can read the presentation. You may be distributing this for people who view on tablets or laptops or desktop computers, but often you'll be projecting it on a screen in a room and taking people through it. The audience needs to be able to read the information. It's perhaps even more true of data visualizations in Tableau than it is of verbal presentations. At the moment, our axes titles are probably a little bit small. That's easily fixed. Right click there, and up comes an option for format. There's menu up here over here, and what I'm just going to do is just make the size a little bit bigger. We'll call it 12 points. You're probably going to want bigger, I suspect. We'll make it a green colour. So I'll click anywhere out of there to get rid of it, and we've now made that y-axis a little bit bigger. So we can do that with this one as well, the x-axis. Again 12 point, again green. And now things are a little bit more visible than they were before. As I say, you'll probably need to use a larger font for a presentation in a room. If possible, try the visualisation out in a room of similar size, or the actual room. Stand at the back of the room, make sure you can read this, and bear in mind that the eyesight of the audience, at least some of the audience members, may not be quite as good as yours. Okay, I mentioned the fact that we can change these titles in Tableau, and that's quite straightforward. We just go to right click again, edit axis. There's an option down here to change the title of fat consumption. So I'm going to be reckless, get rid of the, do that again. Edit axis, reckless, get rid of the G. Pull that over there a little bit. If you click on apply, you can see what's happened. I'm going to click on OK. Now don't worry, because we have something over here called the back button, the most important button in Tableau. It's the undo. It will undo everything you've done right to the start of your Tableau session. So if I click on that, it'll now bring back grams. The redo would get rid of it, but so we'll undo it again. So grams is now back and we're quite happy. Tableau Public's arguably the most, I beg your pardon, the back button's arguably the most important button in Tableau. Okay, so now we need to save our work. Tableau saves to the web, so you will need an internet connection. What you do is just click on this little icon over here, which looks like a floppy disk, assuming you remember what a floppy disk looks like. And it'll open up the save dialog. You'll have to log in, and then it'll allow you to save. When you've completed the save, you'll see a window like this appears. On this side, it's got views. What we've created there is a view. We've only got one. Later on, you'll see several of these down here. And you can set them up as tabs, whichever way you want to do it. Up here, there's options to get some HTML code to paste into a website, assuming you still produce websites. This one's probably more useful. And what it does is produce a link to an online version of this data visualization. So all you need to do is select all of this, Control C, and then you can distribute that. It can be pasted into websites and people can access your visualization, which will look something like this. Obviously a fairly simple one at the moment. Later on we'll do more sophisticated ones. Down in the bottom right hand corner is a download button which allows your users to download what's called a workbook for this, so they could take your data and then play about it with themselves. Okay, so close that up. That's probably all I want to say for this video. Thanks for listening.